All right, let's talk about a huge shift happening in cybersecurity right now, moving to what's called a zero trust architecture. If your whole security plan is basically just building higher and higher walls around your network, this is for you. We're going to explore how to think completely differently and build a smarter defense from the inside out. Let's dive in.
For like decades, security was pretty simple, right? You build a digital castle with a really strong moat. Your firewalls, your VPNs, those were the walls that kept the bad guys out. But think about it. With the cloud, remote work, everyone using their phones, that perimeter has, well, it's pretty much disappeared. So that old fortress model, yeah, it's obsolete. So how do we actually adapt to this new reality? We're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll kick things off with why the old model is failing. Then we'll look at the 2 main paths you can take. After that, we'll cover the essential prep work, the homework you just can't skip. Then we'll walk through the actual migration playbook. And finally, we'll talk about why this is really a never-ending journey.
Okay, so part 1, the end of the perimeter. Now, the most important thing to get your head around when moving to a zero trust architecture, or ZTA, is that this is not about flipping some magic switch. It's an incremental journey, a slow move away from those old security models that just don't cut it anymore. This quote really gets to the heart of it. You've got to think evolution, not some massive disruptive revolution. The goal isn't to just rip and replace everything all at once. No way. You start small, applying zero trust principles to your most critical data, your most important assets, and then you just expand out from that secure core. So when you actually start down this road, you've basically got 2 paths you can choose from. Let's call them the pure path and the hybrid path. This chart does a great job showing the difference between, the ideal world and, well, reality. The pure approach is perfect. From scratch, greenfield build. It's awesome if you're launching a brand new company or an isolated project. But for pretty much any existing organization, it's just not going to happen. And that's exactly why the hybrid approach, where you slowly integrate zero trust alongside your old systems, is really the only practical way to go for almost everyone. And here's the key takeaway on that. Don't feel like you're failing if your network is a hybrid. That's not a temporary bug. It's the feature. It's actually the normal expected way of doing things as you methodically secure your business, one process at a time. Okay, before you can even think about migrating anything, you absolutely, positively have to understand what you have. It's simple. You can't protect what you don't know exists. This phase is all about doing that foundational homework that makes everything else even possible. This homework really boils down to 3 main inventories. First, who is on your network? And that means all your users and all those automated service accounts. Second, what is on your network? Every single laptop, server, every piece of software, including that shadow IT stuff that different departments set up on their own. And third, what is everyone and everything doing? You have to map out your business workflows to really understand how data's moving and what truly needs to be protected. This quote just sums it up perfectly. Without a detailed map of where you are right now, your assets, your users, your workflows, any attempt to implement zero trust is basically just a shot in the dark. This knowledge is the absolute bedrock of a successful migration. Okay, so you've done your homework, you're ready to get moving. Let's get into the practical, step-by-step playbook for actually getting your first zero trust workflow up and running. Now, the official guidance gives us this deployment cycle. And yeah, it might look a little complex at first glance, but it's actually a really logical flow. It all starts with assessment, that homework we just talked about. And then it moves right through policy development, deployment, and operations, all with a constant feedback loop. Let's just simplify that diagram into 4 really clear actions. Step 1, you use your inventories to develop access policies. Step 2, you pick the right technology to actually enforce those policies. Step 3, and this is so important, you deploy in a monitoring-only mode at first. And finally, step 4, you move to full deployment and ongoing operations. Now, how you apply this playbook is critical, and it all comes down to choosing your first project wisely. You really need an early win here, so don't try to boil the ocean by starting with some massive, mission-critical system like email. Instead, pick a lower-risk process. Maybe an app used by a small team, like the purchasing department, or something that's already in the cloud. This pilot becomes your proving ground, where you can learn and build confidence for the bigger stuff later. This is honestly one of the most important tactical tips I can give you. When you deploy that first pilot, don't immediately start blocking access. Run it in reporting only or monitoring mode first. This lets you see if your new policies would have denied any legitimate requests, which allows you to fine-tune them before you actually stop anyone from getting their work done. You gather data, you establish a baseline, and then you enforce.
So you did it. You've successfully migrated your first workflow. That's awesome! But you're not done. See, Zero Trust isn't a project you finish. It's a new, continuous security posture that you adopt forever. This diagram of the risk management framework is the perfect analogy. See how it ends with monitor and then just loops right back to the beginning? Zero Trust works the exact same way. It's a constant cycle of preparing, assessing, implementing, and then monitoring, all so you can adapt to new threats and new business needs. And why is it continuous? Because your organization is never standing still. I mean, think about it. Every single time you add new devices or update software or change your company's structure, your security needs to be reevaluated. Your Zero Trust architecture has to live and breathe right alongside your enterprise. So, what have we learned? Migrating to Zero Trust is an incremental, continuous journey. It's not a destination you just arrive at. It all begins with understanding what you have, choosing a smart first step, and then committing to ongoing improvement. So the only real question left is, what's your first step going to be?